Hey guys, I'm Kai, hope you're doing well, and in this video we're going to talk about the 4 ways you can go about starting a recessive ball python project, so stick around, you're watching Lucas Landon Royals. So when it comes to starting a recessive ball python project, there's mainly 4 ways or 4 breedings that you can do to produce visual offsprings. I always get asked, how should I start my recessive project? Should I get a visual? Should I get a het? What's the fastest way? What's the cheapest way to go about it? And those are hard questions to answer, so I'm going to give you 4 different options. We're going to talk about all 4 of them so you can determine which one fits you the best. By the way, the first few videos that I've created for this channel were focused around genetics, both recessives and codoms, and how they work and how they get passed down to future offsprings and generations down the line. So you might want to check them out. I'll leave a link to those videos up here in the corner. I'll also have some keywords and definitions down in the description so you can check that out as well. Now let's get to the first type of breeding or pairing that you can make to produce visual offsprings, and that's going to be to use a visual female like this visual low white pied. Pied is a recessive gene and she is obviously expressing it. You can see the low white on her. But don't just stop there, because it would be advantageous for you to add some codoms in the mix like this yellow belly pied, also known as a pumpkin pied. Another one would be this orange dream pied, which happens to be in shed, but it's another example of adding codoms into a recessive project. You might want to add other recessives into your main recessive project, like this pastel pied het for xanthic. Obviously, she's a visual pied. I'm adding in another codom, which is the pastel, and adding in another recessive, which is the het for xanthic part. And to go along with the visual female, you're going to want a visual male. And again, adding other morphs into the mix is going to benefit you in the long run. So here we have a coral glow pied male. And adding multiple codoms is even better, like we have here a super orange dream leopard, possible yellow belly pied male. Now let's run through the remaining 3 breedings, then we'll come back and dive into each one of those and talk about the advantages and disadvantages and compare them to each other. So number 2 on the list would be to use a visual female to a het male, and number 3 would be to use a het female to a visual male, and number 4 would be to use a het female and a het male. Now once you start with one of those breeding types, there's no hard fast rule that says you have to continue on down that path. In fact, you would want to switch things up, which is what I did with my clown project. So we can use the clowns and het clowns in my collection as examples as we dive deeper into the 4 different types of breedings. Now in the case of a visual to a visual, I would use something like this. This is a firefly clown female that I would then pair to a visual male. And that's going to be this guy, my MVP from last season. He is a pastel extreme gene clown. Now going about your recessive project with a visual to a visual pairing is going to be the most expensive way, simply because visuals cost more than hets. However, in your first season of breeding visual to visual, you're going to produce all visual offsprings, and hopefully with some codoms in the mix, so that you have more females to choose from to hold back. Then you can sell off the females that you don't need. You have more males to choose from to hold back that one really good male that's going to be your all-star for the following season. And then again, you can sell off all those other males that you don't need for breeding purposes. So even though you have to invest more up front, your return on investment happens much sooner and at a much quicker rate, especially for future seasons, because you're just going to have more and more females and better males, and they'll all be visuals. Now the breeding or pairing number 2 is slightly less expensive. You're going to use a visual female, and we'll go with the same firefly visual clown female. And as for the male, we'll need to switch it up and find a het. And it's going to be this Enchy orange dream het clown. Now when you breed those 2 together in your first season, you're going to produce half visuals and half hets. Now that means the amount of visual females that you get to choose from to hold back is cut in half, and the amount of males that you get to choose from that are visual is also cut down in half. But let's just say you do get a powerhouse visual male from that breeding. You hold him back, grow him up, pair him back to the mom, which is a visual, and the next year or the next breeding season, you're going to get all visual offsprings. So basically you waited 2 seasons to produce all visuals, whereas in the first method, you only had to wait 1 season, which is the first season, and you were able to produce all visual offsprings. Now for the third type of pairing that can make recessives is going to be using a het female like this Enchi Blade het clown that just got up to size for me. So she'll be going this season. And as for the male, let's go back to using the All-Star Pastel Extreme Gene clown. Now when you put those two together, their first season of breeding, you're going to get results very similar to the second type of breeding, which is from a visual female to a het male. So your results are going to be the same in the first season. So here's where things differ. You're going to get a male that is a visual, hopefully with some codoms, and you're going to put that back to mom, only this time the mom is a het. And so you're still breeding a visual to a het in your second season, and you're getting half visuals and half hets. The only way you're going to get all visuals is to wait probably another season, maybe even more, for the first breeding season's female hatchlings to get to size and then pair back to one of the visual males. So the initial cost of this third type of breeding is going to be, in most cases, lower than the second type of breeding and definitely lower than that first type of breeding. But as you can see, you're waiting 3, maybe even 4 years longer to produce all visuals. So you can see the trade-off. If you spend more money up front, then you wait a shorter period of time to produce a clutch of visuals, you'll be able to accelerate your project and move at a much higher velocity and produce many more visuals with combos in the mix, as opposed to spending less money up front. You'll just have to wait a longer period of time in order to produce a clutch of visuals, and you'll have less to pick and choose from between the time you started breeding to the time you produce your visuals. So there's the trade-off. Hope that makes sense. But let's round things off with moving on to the breeding type number 4. And that's going to be using a het female and a het male. So with a het to het pairing, your chances of hitting a visual are 25% statistically. So let's say you have 8 eggs. Statistically, 2 of those will turn out to be visual, but you need a visual male to go back to your het female, which is the mom. So in order for you to hit that visual male, your chances went from 2 eggs to 1 egg, and the chances of you having a codom in the mix, well, that's half an egg, I guess. So you'll have to get lucky. Basically, you're rolling the dice and playing the long game. It's the cheapest option for sure, but there's no telling when and how long it's going to take for you to hit that visual male to pair back to its mom, which is a het. So you're basically going to end up at breeding type number 3, which is a het female to a visual male. And keep in mind, minimum, it's going to take 3 more years in order to produce a clutch of visuals. Let me give you an example of something that happened to me when I try to do a het-to-het pairing. This right here is that Enchi Orange Dream het clown male. And I used this guy to try to produce a Enchi Orange Dream visual clown to replace him, or at least an Orange Dream clown. First season, I put him to 2 pastel het clown females. One girl slugged out, and then the other girl gave me a clutch of eggs, but nothing in there that could replace him. So to me, that whole breeding season with this guy made no progress. Second season, which is the past season that just happened, I upped the game and put that Enchi Orange Dream male with a Enchi clown female. So now we're talking about het to visual, and I finally managed to produce a Enchi Orange Dream clown, which you see here. Unfortunately, this is a female, so I still haven't been able to find or produce a replacement for the dad. At this point, I wonder, would I have been better off by waiting to purchase a Enchi Orange Dream clown male rather than trying to produce one with a het to a het pairing? Because in most cases, the price of the animals and new combos and morphs, those will drop as time goes on, and I probably would have saved up a little bit more money in order to buy the visual. But at that time, which is 4 years ago, Pied was my main focus and still is. Clown is a close second, but at that time, it wasn't something that I was totally serious into, and I was just buying a few animals with the clown gene to play around with. Looking back, I wish I was more heavily invested in the clown project, seeing as where clowns are now with all those beautiful clown combinations, so many different varieties and colors and variations of pattern. I wish I was a little bit further along in my clown project. But I did manage to grow some hatchling females out along the way, and I think they'll be able to breed for me this season. Like this 1400 gram clown female, hoping that she'll slam a few more meals and that she'll be able to breed for me this season. Also, this really cool looking blade clown, almost looks super blade. She's in shed right now. She was up to size but didn't go for me last season, hoping this is the season for her. And here is my Enchi clown, also in shed. She did produce a clutch for me last season, which is where that Enchi Orange Dream clown female came from. Hopefully she'll be ready to go again this season. Now, you're not limited to just these 4 types of breedings, but I'm gonna stop here because the other types of breedings that are used for recessive projects are not even gonna produce visuals at all in the first breeding. So we'll keep it simple and stop here with 4. So that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informational. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel and you wanna be informed of future uploads, make sure you're subscribed and ring that notification bell. As always, thanks for watching. Please share, and I'll see you guys next time.